I'm excited. Congrats. I want to just say this is awesome that the podcast keeps growing. I'm super excited. I keep thinking about it all the time.
I cannot wait to be the biggest podcast in the world. At this rate, it's going to happen soon.
What do we decide our sub-genre area of podcasting was? It's like best music podcast with the word shit in the title.
Yeah.
We got to make it so unique.
And it's the truth. Right now, we are the biggest podcast in the world with the word shit in the title about music, hosted by Adam Elmakias and Neil Westfall.
You heard it here, folks. We're coming for you.
Yeah. Watch out, young Jamie and Joe Rogan.
All right. Thanks for starting us off, Kevin effing Scaff, with that awesome song. Neil.
This week on the podcast, Adam Elmakias and Neil Westfall discuss how they're going to start the podcast. Here it goes.
Neil, what's new in life?
Just, same old stuff. Opening a restaurant and releasing an album. You're Welcome is coming out on March 5th. We just dropped the pre-order. What's new with you?
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yo, I don't know about you, but we talked about this the other day. Corona, obviously not a good thing for the world for obvious reasons. People are dying,
yes,
which is never positive. However, in our own little ways, we try to make the best out of it. And it's kind of been nice to have a break from tour life to, I don't know, everything's coming together right now, whether it be podcast or album. And it took like a good 6 to 9 months of quarantine to get it done.
Oh, yeah. You have to really set aside that time when you're touring. But now it's like, you have to do it or you're going to go insane. You have to work. I need something to work on. I need something to fulfill my time or I'm going to lose my mind.
I'm very excited. I play this game called Terraforming Mars, and it's a great board game.
I saw that with your nephew, right?
Yeah, they're not my nephews. They're my second cousin. I misspoke. I confuse the names of relatives. So
the little, you were playing with the little people related to you.
Yeah, and they're way better than me. It took me like 4 times of playing the game to learn it, and my 9-year-old second cousin got it on his first time. But he also knows.
Should we call Elon Musk and get him a job at SpaceX?
Dude, I'm not kidding. This kid's nuts. I got like a custom sorting plywood punch out thing that costs more than the game today.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
It's great. I love organizing, and it has a 1-player mode, so I sit on my floor and play myself now.
I saw that too. You said you were like doing some brainstorming for the podcast and playing the game, and respect.
Thanks. I really appreciate really well carbonated soda, so I understand you have a setup at your restaurant that could fulfill this need.
Yes, I tried to install the soda fountain at my new restaurant, Winter Park Biscuit Company. It did not go well. There was 3 lines, one for carbonated water, one for water, and one for CO2, and it exploded everywhere and shot water all over everything, and I wanted to cry, but maybe I did cry a little, and I hid it because there was water all over me and no one could see the tears.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good way to do it.
I think if you're going to cry in a restaurant, make sure that you do it when there's a giant leak and the water spraying all over you so that, people don't know if you're crying or not.
I cry frequently at water parks and car washes.
It's been a wild ride. Our entire team has been absolutely incredible. I got to hang out with everyone from the band. They came and kind of ate some of the food. It was really awesome. I hadn't seen everybody in so long. I wish Kevin could have came. He's up in Nashville, but I wish you could have came, but you're out in freaking California.
I know. I need to get a job in Florida. I need my girlfriend to stop. Maybe I'll just come out solo dolo, but she'll be super jealous. She's never been to Florida.
It's a wild place.
A lot of land, a lot of water, a lot of crocs and alligators.
Yeah.
All right.
You know what this means? It's the beginning of the podcast, and we have grown our Patreon patrons.
That's right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9 more patrons this week.
That's sick.
That is sick.
I actually signed up for it, I think, but my name's not on the list.
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, Thomas did, and Lorene did.
And Anna Velli.
And these, I can't, I'm not saying the next, I can't read.
Jalis. I don't think I made these names up. They're real people, I swear.
Chris. Okay, I'll say that one. Bryn.
Aviha was French. I looked up how to say that one.
Yossi. That's the guy from Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, dude. Thanks, Yossi. And Gabby.
Yes. And Jalis.
Thank you guys so much for signing up for our Patreon. We have decided to start releasing unedited, for the most part, podcasts on there. So if you want to see them in video format, we'll put them on there. We might release the edited versions on YouTube or something eventually, but for now, Patreon only.
Patreon only.
All right, so what are we talking about today?
Well, before we get on here, we talked a little bit about what that will be, and it's all the ways to travel, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's all the ways to travel on tour, and they're kind of like really closely interlaced or intertwined with your level of touring, I guess you'd say. So like how big the artist you're working for is.
Oh, yeah.
Because as they get bigger, they travel better usually.
Yeah, it's like when you start doing bigger shows, better dates with more people at them, you don't have to travel in your mom's minivan anymore. So
Can you imagine if like the artist you're working for was traveling in private jets and you were traveling in a van? You're like, hey, just meet us there.
yes, I can't imagine that because I feel like I've done something similar to that before. Like one of our first tours, it was like Silverstein or Devil Wears Prada. They're on the sick bus and we're in like this van that's breaking down every day. And they're like, all right, we'll see you guys when we get there. We're going to have our driver drive us there really quickly. And we're like, all right, we'll see you in 72 hours.
We're not going to stop working. Or like, do you remember the one Warp Tour date that would be in Edmonton in Canada? That was like a day and a half drive.
Oh my God. I felt so bad for all the people in the van. That's one tour that you really cannot. I mean, you can do it and it will prove how much you really want this. If you do Warp Tour in a van, it doesn't exist anymore. Rest in peace, Warp Tour. But if you did that in a van, that meant that you wanted this life and you were about it.
Let's start a Warp Tour road trip that is just a Warp Tour routing. And you just drive to the next day every day, but you don't play a show.
When you get there, you're like, that was a really long drive. And you look at everyone you're with, you're like, yeah, that was really cool. And then you look at each other and like, man, imagine if we had to play a show right now and be outside all day in the hot heat.
Yeah.
And then they go, that'd be crazy. And then you just get in a car and drive to the next stop.
Okay, so yeah, the different levels of touring are, I mean, it starts out in a van and then sometimes people go to sprinters these days, right?
Yeah.
At least in the US, maybe in UK.
Well, we never had sprinters, but they're pretty cool. They're just like a little bit bigger van with a little bit more room.
Taller, you can put bunks in them. Then people jump to a bandwagon, which is like not quite a bus, but not a van. It's like
a glorified RV.
It's like a truck with a big container on the back.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Some people go to RVs instead of those.
I wish we had that too. We didn't have that. Tour bus,
yeah. And then you don't really do it for a whole tour, but fly dates are important. That means you're like flying to shows.
And then when you're really big, like Diplo and shit like that, Post Malone, then you get on private jets.
Yeah, you jet everywhere. When you have to do multiple shows in a single day and you're able to, not usually the case for bands with the exception of, I don't know, some artists have like more than one stage setup, but
Linkin Park style or like Rammstein or something like that, a band of huge production and status.
Yeah, they'll have like, literally they'll be setting up 2 festivals at once so they can play one and then fly to the next and tear down one and then set up the next one.
It's pretty wild.
So the goal today is to prepare you for where you're headed. So we want to kind of give you a brief overview of what travel is like on tour. And I think it's kind of cool. I mean, Neil, you mentioned it's kind of fun.
It is. It's like, I think this is one of the topics that we could talk about where if you're not like 100%, I'm going to tour in my lifetime, you could listen to this episode and fully be entertained with all the levels of touring, all the ways of traveling, because you could travel like this even when you're not on tour, just for leisure and for fun.
Just going to go leisurely on my private jet. I think also I was thinking about the podcast as a whole. And when we get further in, we're going to be talking about, a day in the life of a tour manager. And maybe you're not a tour manager, but I think the more you know about what other people are going through on the road, the better you can understand where they're coming from. So when, that band that's opening up the tour rolls up in their van, you can be like, oh, even though I've never toured in a van, I understand what your night was just like. And I understand what you've been doing. And when you see somebody go on their bus and you're like, well, I can't go on there, but should I get to go on there? You'll know a little bit more what to expect.
I remember like our first time going on a bus, it was like we were on tour with another artist that had their bus. And I was like freaked out because I'm like, this is like their home. And I feel weird going in people's houses that I don't know. And like a bus is just like a condensed version of someone's home. So it's like you're in their living room and then you're in their bedroom and then you're in their other living room. So it's like, it's just super thrown into the mix of everything. You're like, holy shit, like that's where you sleep. Okay, cool. Nice to meet you.
It is like now for us, it's so normal because we've been traveling on it for like 10 years. But
yeah,
I do remember when you first go on your first tour bus, you're just like, there's no way you can hide the look in your eyes.
It's so cold on here.
Yeah. Why is it cold?
I could sleep for 3 weeks in here. I have.
Yeah. So before we get into everything, the last episode ran a little short. We are aware of this. And I think we need to share some more stories about getting experience. So we'll throw some embarrassing lessons we've learned along the way at the end of this episode.
This is going to be the best episode yet. You're going to love it.
Whenever I listen to other people's podcasts, I think it's so funny how they always start off with, man, I'm so excited for today. And I know the feeling now because I actually am excited every time we record a podcast.
You're like, holy shit, it's happening like right now. It's like, this is fun. I look forward to it. Like every week, it's like Monday or Tuesday. I usually do Twitch stream on Tuesday. I know as soon as I'm done with that, like the next day, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to sleep. And then the next day we get to record a podcast and it's fun. It is. It's really fun.
And then we get to post it 5 days later and then people get to watch it and listen to it.
And they get to hit me up and be like, hey, I listened to you talk a lot for like 1 hour.
And like we said a long time ago, my favorite part about this is we get to share all the things we learned for so long and talk about everything that we know so well. And although it only takes, it takes a few weeks to write these, I would say, but we're working on it for a long time, but it took us our whole lives to learn it.
Yeah. I think there's like a saying where it's like, just because it took someone 10 minutes to do some task, it didn't mean that they didn't perfect it for the past 10 years. That's not a saying at all, but it's something like that. There's a sentiment in there.
Yeah, there's a concept. Yeah, I know what you mean. When preparation meets opportunity.
When you're naked and you run through your neighborhood.
What?
Anyway, so there's different levels of touring.
Yeah, why does it matter? Why does it matter about the different levels of touring? Tell us, Neil.
Well, how you travel is one of the most extreme changes that will happen as your touring career progresses.
Yeah, and while you're on tour, it kind of changes not only how you live in your personal life, but it changes how you work. It changes where your gear goes and where you sleep and how you get to the next venue. And although it's not your job, it really is your job on tour. Your job on tour is how you travel. Yeah. And then you just do your guitar teching or your tour managing your free time.
Well, it's like you're doing the same things no matter what. Like there is a pretty specific list of things regarding your job that you'll be doing, but whatever level you're at, that changes like it's all different no matter what. You're still going to be doing those things, but it's going to be very different no matter if you're doing the private jet thing, if you're doing the van thing, if you're doing the sprinter thing. They're all going to have their little changes that make each job a little bit harder or different.
Yeah. So you're saying like as somebody gets to another level of traveling, it actually affects the job they do on a daily basis. Also.
Absolutely.
And I think that we talked about this prior, but mostly you're going to notice that your job becomes more specialized because as more people come into the picture, your job becomes more important and therefore, and other people will take over. Like a tour manager might do accounting and routing and advancing the show at first, but then you'll get a production manager to do the production and you'll get an accountant to do the accounting. And as you get bigger and bigger, all those things become more tedious and time consuming of a task.
It's like when you're on the level of like Metallica, you need like a tour manager assistant, a tour manager's assistant, just because there's so many things to get done in one day. It's like, yeah, there's no way one person could, like when you're on, okay, let's say you're just starting out, you're in a van, you have a tour manager sometimes that will also take some of the driving duties, will also maybe be your sound guy, probably your guitar tech. You couldn't do that on the bigger levels. It's just impossible. It's just too much to do.
And you'd be too rich.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, who needs that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking also, like, even as you progress, like, let's say you're at a level where you're traveling in a bus, there will be times where you not drop down, but depending on where you're touring in the world, you might have to travel differently. And it reminds me of when, like, I know you could speak to this, when you're in Thailand or something, like you travel way differently, but it reminds me of when we would fly to like Finland and do a show there. And then we'd take that like 4-hour sprinter ride each way to the festival.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. When we hung out with Diane Ward, or we wanted to, but we couldn't because we had to take a 4-hour sprinter ride back to Helsinki just to get on another plane. And yeah, it's different. And everywhere in the world has its own specific challenges. And like, for instance, like you were saying, Thailand, it's like you don't fly in and then get on a bus in Thailand. You're probably playing 2 or 3 shows in that whole country, and your hub is probably going to be Bangkok.
Yeah, you just take like vans.
Yeah, you get in a van and you travel, and probably after the show, everyone, as soon as they're done loading out and everything like that, they're going to travel together back to that hub, get ready for the flight, and fly to another country in that area of the world or wherever. You know, it is different everywhere, and it does get more specialized the more you get on the different levels of it too. Yeah.
And so while you're going and traveling all these places, the things you kind of need to focus on personally are how you live and exist in transit, how you're going to sleep. So whether it's a hotel or on a floor or in a bunk, you need to take care of your hygiene, your bathroom duties, all those things you need to take care of. And you need to be responsible for your personal luggage, your equipment, and your gear. So these are you
said duty after bathroom, which is great. It's perfect.
I didn't hear that, but I trust you. But yeah, I mean, like those are the things that you need to, I don't know, worry about and take care of no matter where you're at. So it actually is a lot.
It's the things that you don't really talk about. It's the things that people they just assume like, hey, you're a human being, you should be doing these things anyways. But it's like, it's much harder when you're on tour because, you know, they matter. Like if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to be an asshole. You're not going to be able to do your job. If you're not keeping clean. No one's going to want to be around you.
Yeah, you're ruining it for everyone.
Yeah, and everything is such small, tight quarters. It's not even just the people that you're traveling with. Like if you're in an airport and you smell like shit, like we've all been there and been around the guy that looks like he plays in AC/DC or whatever, airborne. He's wearing a leather vest and hasn't put deodorant on since 1993.
Good year.
It's rough. You don't want to be that guy or girl or person.
Yeah, so while you're traveling, think about those things, and we're going to kind of just give you an overview of what it looks like to be in a van, on a bus, in a jet today. And then in future episodes, we'll go over the etiquette. And, I kind of asked on Twitter, like, what mysteries do you guys have about this? I want to kind of understand. And one person was like, who changes the sheets on the bus? And it made me remember, like, I love those questions because they make me remember how many little things there are that happen on tour that are so unique.
I actually didn't know who changed the sheets on the bus for like the first 4 years I toured. I had no idea. I'm like, how the fuck these just get changed? Is this like tour manager? So like some bunk sheet elf that like comes in the middle of the week and just does that shit? How is it, Adam? We gotta let him know.
The bus driver usually does it.
Yeah, it is a bunk elf.
I have a really embarrassing story about changing sheets.
Okay, I'd love to hear it.
This is going to be the part where, Connor, you're probably going to cut this out because it's super embarrassing.
No. This is the stuff the patrons pay for.
All right, guys. So like before we get into everything, I'll just say this embarrassing story now. Should I say it now or should I wait?
No, let's go.
All right. When I was on tour, like I have wet my bed in my adult life. I will be honest about that.
All
and
right.
it's not because I'm drunk. It's not because I'm sick. Sometimes it just happens. And I don't know, like maybe like once every 2 or 3 years. And it dreaded me. I was like, all right, I don't want this to happen. Well, I'm on tour. And it happened to me while I was on tour.
Oh, no.
And obviously it ruins the whole bunk. Everything gets rocked. And I like got up and I was like, okay, like the worst part about tours when you make a mistake, everybody knows and they make fun of you.
It is the worst, really.
And it's not like a mean make fun. It's just like a friendly thing. But it's still like, I don't think I'll ever live this one down. And I've never spoke about this, but I went up to the bus driver and I was like, dude, this is what happened. No, I told the tour manager, I was like, dude, this is what happened. Don't want anybody to know. Can we take care of it? He's like, I got you. And told the bus driver and they took care of it. And they did it in a discreet way where nobody knew. And I was like, thank you. Because I respected that a lot. And they didn't tell anybody. Thank you guys. But that wasn't only like, I would say it was like 7 years ago.
I mean, I have a pretty embarrassing story along the same lines, just so you're not like completely vulnerable by yourself. I think I've told this story on the podcast before, and it involves don't shit on the bus. I threw the poop bag, the hat bag, out of the window of the bus.
The hot bag?
Hot bag.
Hot bag.
And the bus driver put his hand in it, and then he wanted to fight me. And then everyone...
Wait, why did the bus driver put his hand in it?
Well, he was fixing the light on the trailer, on the side of the trailer.
Oh, it hit the bus.
It hit the side of the bus and the trailer, and there was poop on the side of the bus and the trailer.
You literally shit on the bus.
I literally shit on the bus, like on the side of the bus.
There's shit on the walls. There's shit everywhere.
I literally am the perfect person for this podcast because I've done everything that you're not supposed to do and hopefully learn from it enough to teach you guys in a fun way. No, but he was changing a light on the tour bus and he put his hand in the poop and he wanted to fight me, but then he was fine. We became friends after this and we never fought. And thank God, because he was like a Marine from like the UK.
Was this that driver we had on that Day to Remember, Bring Me the Horizon thing?
Yeah, his name was Don. He was from Liverpool.
In the US or UK?
It was in the UK.
Oh, I don't know this guy.
So he put his hand in it. Everyone on the bus found out that I shit on the side of the bus, basically. And they gave me shit about it for like a week because I didn't really give a fuck. I was like, sorry. I needed to poop.
Well, thank you for making me feel not so vulnerable. I appreciate it.
That's the one thing that is important. You got to look out for the people that you're traveling with. You're all in it together. No matter how you travel, you got to look out for people. If they're vulnerable, you got to be vulnerable with them.
You got to help them out. Make somebody feel not so alone away from home. Okay, so with that being said, let's talk about what it's like to tour in a van. And I think we start each section with like painting the picture of what it feels like to travel in a van. Like, what is the van?
The van is your home. When we were in a van, we did not get hotels at all. We were trying to save money. It's one of the first kind of places that you exist as a traveling artist. Sometimes you own your own van. Sometimes you're renting a van, but it's your home.
And it's like one of those 16 passenger vans, right?
Yep.
Just so people know, it's like the biggest van you can kind of get. They're big, they're white, they have windows, they have a bunch of like 4 rows of seats usually.
Yep. And it's home. You put everything in there. You bring everything that you have on tour with you in that van or in the trailer that you connect to the van. Sometimes people build bunks in the vans. Like when Wage War was on tour, when they first started, they built bunks. We didn't do that. We just kind of slept on the bench seats. Yeah, we just had seats. We blew up our van. You kind of have it everywhere. Like it is your full means of transportation.
Yeah, when I started, my first tour was in a van. It was actually with Kevin's old band, Four Letter Lie. They're from Minneapolis. Dude, I remember when they picked me up and the first time I got a ride in their van. I thought it was so cool. I actually skipped high school.
That's sick.
I thought it was the biggest thing ever. I told my teacher, I was like, I gotta go do a photo shoot. I can't be here. She was like, okay. So I left school. I took them to this park I have photos of like all those guys at a park that's like less than a mile from my high school. We took photos there. And then we drove around downtown in the van, and they had this thing they would do. Like when you're in a van, it's kind of like you're just hanging out with your friends traveling the world. I like them. It's my favorite way to tour.
Same.
But they would like hang out of their van, and Madison, Wisconsin is a college town. And they would just yell at people and just be like, Kimberly, long time no see, Kimberly. And they would just wave at people, like random people. And everybody in the van would just start saying the name and waving. And these people would be so confused. And it was so funny.
That makes me so happy because we did something very similar to that as well without even knowing Four Letter Lie at the time. Like, I think that's just like something that is like, you're a bunch of friends in a van. There's no parents around, no parents, no rules.
Yeah. You're like early 20s.
You can do whatever you want.
There's just like this like very learned camaraderie. You know, you're just with a bunch of really good friends, and you all, like you said, we got hotels once in a while, and just, you know, one or two people would get the beds, sleep on the floor. But like I slept on the floor behind the third seat, like literally under the seat, because I was so small, and like everybody just slept in their area. It's not very safe, huh?
Definitely not safe, but it's that hustle. It's that point in your career where, you know, how bad do you want it? It is you doing what is necessary to make it by. You're living on, you know, very small amounts of money, eating dollar menus or at gas stations, because literally you don't have money. Like you're finding stuff at the venue, just places to kind of crash at the venue so you're not in your van. It's a rough way of touring, but it is so fun. It is the best.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot of the world in a van, or a lot of wherever you're traveling. And as a crew member, you guys are probably most likely to tour in a van if your band is playing, I don't know, what cap venues, couple hundred, maybe you're opening a big tour.
Yeah, I would say like maybe like 250 to 1,000 on the big side.
Yeah, and it depends a lot where they are. If they're a headliner, they're making more money than not. So,
well, a lot of times too, when you're in a van, if you are a crew member, you're kind of, it's very rare to kind of have a crew member in a van. Like you might be a merch guy and maybe a tour manager that's kind of doing multiple jobs.
Or these days, a photographer, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, because the photographer these days is super important in growing the brand. So you kind of got to like make time for, or make space for that part of it.
And if they ever ask you to drive, just do a really bad job and they'll never ask you again.
Not too bad where you crash, because that's, you know.
So traveling in a van is different than the other ways of traveling, because I don't know if you guys realize this, but when you drive from show to show, it usually takes all night. So you're sleeping in that van too.
Yeah.
Like I know we haven't explicitly said that, but you are living in there. Everything is in there. And you just, I don't know, what are some tips you can give somebody? Like, we're going to go in depth in it later, but if you're in a van, what's the one tip you want to tell somebody?
Make sure that you write your name on your phone charger. Make sure that the things that you need are in your backpack. Like kind of keep your stuff very minimal, keep your footprint pretty minimal, and be open to things not always going the way that you hope they would, because it's constantly changing. You never know what is going to happen when you're touring in a van. You could be like parked somewhere waiting for instructions to go to the venue at a certain time, and cop comes up and is like, "What are you guys doing here?" And you're like, "We're in a band on tour," and that's probably like not what they want to hear. So you just never know what's going to happen. So
yeah, the music might be too loud, temperature might be too cold. My suggestion is always bring ways to modify your own surroundings. So like, have a layer you can take on and off. Have earplugs.
I was never good at this.
Yeah, because you can't tell them to turn the music down. You don't get to do me. You get to do we. And if the person who's driving wants music on, then that's happening.
Because they gotta get there. That's the other thing too, is be a team player. You know, if you are gonna drive and you have an allotted amount of time that you're driving, don't like skimp out on it because you don't feel like it. It's like everyone else is tired. Everyone's there doing the same thing, hustling. Just be a team player. Do what you say you're going to do. Pick up after yourself. That's really it.
Good luck. Vans are rough, but they are my favorite. I actually wanted to say that like one time in 2014, I toured with this artist, or 2013, Skizzy Mars. That was like, I hadn't been in a van for 3 or 4 years. And my friend Brian, who I talked about on an earlier podcast, was like, yo, I'm going on Skizzy Mars. He's not really that big, but he's in a van. Do you want to do like Portland, Seattle, California with us? And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. And it was really interesting traveling. Skizzy is a rapper, and there was just him, his DJ, the tour manager, the merch guy, and then another band was in there with us.
Oh, really?
Like 2 people. Yeah. All the gear was in the back. Like it was like we just had seating room.
Yeah.
But we got hotels and stuff. But it was interesting touring with somebody in a van who had never toured in a van because their etiquette was so bad. And like some things you learn about in a van is like all your trash goes in the area by the door.
Oh, yeah.
And like you just have these little things that you learn. And I got in there and I was like, they've never toured in a van before. This is going to be fun.
I guess, I mean, you don't even think about that. Like when he started touring in a van, we started touring in Jeremy's dad's truck on a weekend show. There's no way you can like you're sitting in a seat. There's no room. You don't even have room for like another backpack. It's like if you have something, it needs to be able to sit on your lap. That's it, you know?
And Jeremy's dad's there.
No, he was nice enough to let us use his truck, and we used his truck because it had a trailer hitch. We had just bought a trailer, but we didn't have a van.
Big purchase.
And Tom, our old guitar player, he traded in his like 1984 Pinto, some crazy, really small car for this van. And then when we got it, we just fucked it up. Like we beat the shit. We lit it on fire. We shot fireworks in there.
Just like accidentally, like intentionally, but it wasn't like you went to it and you're like, hey, we're going to light it on fire. It just happened while you were using it.
We did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Me and Josh burned a Rastafarian guy into the roof of the van with a lighter.
Like the art?
Yeah, it was art. It was beautiful. But no, it was just, we didn't really realize that this was like Tom's like van because he traded his car in, and we're like, we're on tour, and we just fucked it up. And we had wars, we would throw shit, but like that was us getting all of our angst out of the way.
Yeah. Teen angst, just writing on the walls.
But then when we bought our own van with like the band money, we like tried to keep it nice, and it wasn't like us being psychopaths. So it's just, you know, we never thought about it.
No, I vibe.
That was us learning.
Yes, we did this. This was like 10 years ago for us, 15 years. Okay, Sprinter. Dude, honestly, I've only been in Sprinters as like runner vehicles, like the vehicles that take us to and from the venue. I've never done a whole tour in a Sprinter. Have you?
I've never done a tour in a Sprinter. I guess they're pretty popular over in Europe, and I guess they're becoming more popular here in the States.
Yeah, they're nice.
They are.
Like compact. They're like more affordable and easy to drive RVs because they're not as spacious. I
wish we had something like that when we were coming up. I feel like we were like right on the edge of like, we still had to use MapQuest and all that shit. We didn't have a Sprinter. We didn't have bunks.
Yeah. But yeah, the difference is like a Sprinter, honestly, it's just think of a van that's like 3 feet taller, and then people build bunks in them or living spaces. So if you're in a Sprinter, pretty much all the same rules apply, but you're probably gonna be able to sleep in there a lot better.
Yeah, you're not going to be like forced to listen to what the driver's listening to, because you could probably be in your little dark bunk area, which is a little bit more secluded, but not much. You're still pretty much on top of everyone, and you still got to be pretty minimal in what you bring.
Most of the rules you learn in the van should stay with you, or you learn like all these things we're talking about pretty much transfer to every level. Okay, next one we have is bandwagon / a shitty bus in Europe. You been on one of those shitty buses in Europe? Not the double decker.
I've been on shitty buses in Europe for sure.
They have the single decker ones. I've only been on one. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm. We did a whole tour with like, we ended up on 5. We ended up on 5.
Well, I was on that tour.
You were with us. It was when we had Peliquin as the tour manager.
But those are double decker.
No, but we had single deckers in there too.
Oh my God. Well, the ones I'm talking about are honestly, I don't think you've done it in Europe. They're like a totally different build. They almost look like if you've ever seen those white buses in the US that are usually used for shuttles to take people like to and from the airport.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of look like that. Like they're that size. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. I don't think that we've ever traveled in one of those. We have traveled in single decker buses in Europe, which I like better than the double deckers, because you can stand up a little bit higher and you're not like crammed in, and everything's just about efficient use of space over there. Like everything's a little bit tighter, like skinnier, shorter.
Yeah. So bandwagon is like, they kind of look like RVs, honestly. They're like basically big RVs.
It's like someone took a U-Haul and was like, you know what? We could fucking build an RV in the back of this U-Haul.
That's really what happened, right? Isn't Dallas Green like own this company? Own this company? Do you remember that?
I don't know, but that's badass. And I totally respect Dallas for bringing another option for bands that's in between a van and a bus, because buses can be pretty expensive and you just have a little bit more room, you know?
I could have just made that up. Yeah, they I don't know if Dallas Green does. It's just something I heard when I was younger, but they were made like 8 years ago or something just for the sake of bands touring, mostly for Warped Tour, honestly, because not everybody could afford a bus. And how much, I don't know, how much does a bus cost a day, Neil?
With a driver, I would assume a safe estimate is about $1,000 a day. So, and then plus gas. So you have to pay for the gas as well.
And a bandwagon costs less because you actually can drive it yourself.
You can.
Right.
Yes.
You can get a driver. It's advised, but they're way less.
You don't need like a special license, which is, you probably still should have a special license because they're kind of big as fuck and you're driving all your friends around and all their lives are in your hands. But it's an in-between, and it has a little bit more room. It has a shower, which is kind of rad because I feel like a lot of people that are at that level of touring, they don't really get to shower a lot of times in the venues, or maybe the shower in the venue looks like it's like a scene from the movie Saw where you're probably going to catch like whatever disease in there.
Yeah, so going to a bandwagon is nice because, like Neil said, the shower, that's the big deal. Like we said earlier, cleanliness on tour is one thing you need to work on maintaining, and it's hard. So having a shower really helps. And there's more room to hang out. Like you have like an area to exist, right? It has a quote unquote living room in it. Like it has a front area, and you get a bunk.
You get your own bunk. Huge. There's space to like store your, suitcases and stuff like that. So it's easy to get. You don't have to like unload your entire trailer to like get your stuff out. And it's just like, there's little creature comforts that like you really don't get in a Sprinter. You don't get in a van, and like a lot of times at this level, again, you don't have a big green room to go in and hang out, that you can like stretch your legs out, and you can't stand up all the way in a van, but you can do that in a bandwagon. So
yeah. And what size artist would you say? I would say a bandwagon is somebody who's playing like 500 to 1,000 cap venues, maybe. Yeah,
if they're headlining, and then they could be direct support on like a bigger tour, someone who's like 2,000 to 3,000 cap tour, or like even bigger, it's really that in between step for bands that are just trying to have a little bit more comfort, but still save money.
And direct support means like a headliner is a person who plays last in the night, and direct support is a person who plays right before them.
Yes. So they're still a pretty good sized band, and they still are bringing kids out of the show, but they're not making all the money at the show. So they need to save money in order to still at the end of tour make some money to, justify being on tour for a month.
They're also really fucking bumpy. Bandwagons are very bumpy.
Oh my God. It really is like you're in a fucking box truck and you're driving over like train tracks constantly.
My tip for bandwagon is get a bottom bunk if you can. Obviously, the band's probably going to take them, but get the bottom bunk. It's less bumpy. The top bunk is farther from the road, therefore it sways and everything more.
That, and invest in some melatonin.
Oh, yeah.
Knock yourself out. Nah, melatonin's that good stuff that you make in your body that helps you sleep, but sometimes if you need a little extra because you're bumping around everywhere, it knocks you out.
When my mom moved out of San Diego, she gave me a melatonin CBD CBN chewy gummy thing. And I was like, I'm never taking this ever.
You sleep for 3 weeks straight and you're like, that dream was crazy.
I was like, Mom, why do you own this? I know weed is legal, but chill out, Ruth. She's been listening to our podcast, so she's going to get to this part and laugh.
She's gonna be like, Adam, why not take it? It's great.
Yeah. Cool. So next step is a tour bus, which I would say is most artists are in tour bus these days. I think that's at least.
Well, most artists with a full crew, most artists with a means to pay a crew that has a specialized crew that can kind of like be divvied up into select jobs.
Yeah. The crew, I would say the traveling, if you're on one bus fits about 8 to 12 people, depending on your bunk layout, right?
16, up to 16. I've seen some buses that have 16.
But average is
12.
Average is 12. So it's 4 rows of 3.
Yes.
So 6 on each side. And Neil, I open the front door to a tour bus. I take my step in. I paint the picture of what it looks like.
So when you first walk into a tour bus, you have some pretty large steps going up that kind of take you right by the driver's little area. And sometimes if the driver is cool and you happen to smoke cigarettes or maybe smoke weed or whatever, I don't know what you do on your tour bus, you probably hang out right there whenever you're driving.
Yeah, there's a seat, right? There's a seat to the right of him that you can hang out and shut a door and just hang out up there.
Yeah, and that's kind of like, you go up there and if there's people on the bus that smoke, that's where they do it a lot of times. And then when you kind of take a turn, and as you're walking up these stairs, they usually will turn to the left. They always turn to the left. But you'll kind of like walk up these stairs, and then you're in the living room. You're in the front lounge is what it's called.
Yeah, and there's like a fridge, a TV. There's areas to sit. There's tables. There's things to cook with. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's about, I don't know, I don't know how long it is.
It's big enough. I mean, there's been tours where a day to remember is kind of notorious for this. Like, we keep to ourselves, not because we don't like people, but just because we are just creatures of habit. We like to play video games and stick within our little area. And
You guys are nerds.
we are. We're huge nerds, and we will live in a tour bus and not get off, only to like play the show and go eat and stuff like that. We usually hang out in our lounge, and it's big enough for all of us to be in there comfortably.
Yeah, and if you've ever seen a bus parked, it might have an area that pops out, and that's called a slide out, right? Or a pop out.
Yeah, those are like, that's when you know you've made it. You're like, yeah, we got to slide out. It's pretty sick.
More expensive, but it makes the living area a lot bigger. And you only have it when you're parked. It doesn't go out when you're driving.
Unless you're a psychopath.
And then you keep walking, and there's a bathroom, and then a door opens, and then there's the bunk area, which is about, 6 bunks on your right, 6 bunks on your left in 3 rows. And then you go to the back, and there's one more door. And then there's the back lounge. And that's kind of usually where there's a video game set up, or if it's like, it depends who you're touring with, but if it's like an artist that's one person is prominent over the others, they might have their own.
Yeah, so those buses are called star coaches,
Yes.
Like if it's like
coach.
a one artist kind of deal, they will have a bedroom. It's pretty sick.
Or like sometimes they have a family with them. They'll have it. Like I know, for example, like 21 Pilots, it's just 2 people. They each get their own bus. You know what I mean? When they're on that level, because they're just traveling on their own.
It's pretty cool. We never did that. We just got to the point where the band has their own bus, but we also have all started families since COVID has kind of ended touring. And so by the time we go back on tour, we will have 4 children that live under the A Day to Remember umbrella.
You're going to have like 2 buses. Yeah. Or like, I think like Slipknot or something has a lot of buses, right? They have an interesting setup. But then as you get to bigger tours, I know we said 12 people on these buses, they end up having like arena tours will have like 10, 15, 20 buses.
Yeah. It really depends on how many people are working on the tour and how many jobs are needed to get that tour in there set up and broken down successfully in a small amount of time.
I don't know. The biggest upgrades are you have a bunk. You sleep really well.
It's so awesome.
Yeah, buses, they're...
Tip.
Yeah, what's your tip?
Bottom bunk, front. I think it's important to get on, if you can, get on the bottom because it sways and it's weird. It's a lot of rocking.
I'm a top bunk kind of guy because I like to be able to stand next to my bunk and see all my gear.
You always have been on the top bunk.
Yeah, I'm always on the front top right.
You're always above me. I'm always in the front right.
I'm above you. I've been above Jeremy a few times, but that's usually the junk bunk. A junk bunk is where you put all your junk. Nobody sleeps in it.
I'm in the front. Jeremy's directly behind me on the bottom. And then you are either above me or above Jeremy. You're always on the right side.
Depending on where the junk bunk is. I've had times where I've come on tour and cleared out the junk bunk and it's my bunk. And then I come back and people don't know.
There's just junk in there. The junk bunk is like a glorious thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing to have. That's different. So Day to Remember actually has 2 buses when they tour now, right? There's a band bus in it.
Well, we've done like, most recently we did like 3 buses. So we had 2 crew buses and then we'll still have a band bus. But it just depends, like you're saying, like sometimes you have a big production and you need that many people to run that shit. So it's just based on necessity.
I want 7.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And sometimes you get condo bunks.
Oh, condo bunks are like exactly what they sound like. You have like your own little apartment that you get to sleep in. You basically can sit up. You can like do karate in there if you want to. It's pretty badass.
One time in Europe when I was with you guys, so the difference for the tour bus in Europe is the double decker and the bottom. It's crazy. It's like the bottom, they're really short. Like you can't really stand up in there. And the bottom is like a kitchen hangout. It's like the front lounge. And then you go up and it's bunks. And I remember one of my first tours in Europe, you guys duct taped me into my bunk.
That was awesome.
Yeah, duct taped and then woke me up with an air horn. It was pretty funny. I was like, what the hell is going on?
It escalated so quickly because it was like at first we were just like, yeah, we're just going to tape him in there. And then we were like, all right, if we're going to tape him in there, we got to like really tape him in there. Like, I don't think you could get out in the beginning.
Yeah, I had to push it out. I had to kick it out while plugging my ears. I got inspired by that. And a few years later, I was out with All Time Low and Jack and I sleep above Jack. And one night I had these like posters I'd hand out with just the top of my face on them or postcards. And I just hid them all over his bunk and his book and everything. And everywhere he'd go, he'd like open it. And then the next day I taped like a bunch of them together and hung it down over his whole bunk. So he woke up and it was just another wall of my face.
He probably loved that.
I forget why I did that to him. I was getting him back for something. One of my favorite things actually in the Europe bus is the top floor front area will be just a whole glass wall. And you can like go up there and just
Oh.
sit and watch everything, and you're above people, and it's beautiful and it's cold because you can feel it. It's just so cool.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest things. It's like, of all the things that are really rough for double-decker European buses, like that kind of makes up for maybe a few of them.
The first tour I did with you guys over there was a bunk up there, and I slept up there.
Oh, that's cool. I think that they have the ability to add more bunks.
Yeah, they're pretty modular.
Especially in the European ones. Like the European ones, you can have like up to like 20 people. We had our first tour in Europe, we had 2 bands sleeping. No, I think we had 3 bands.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was fucking wild. We were all dirt poor, barely made it over there. We were just traveling, opening up for this band called Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. And we looked up to them. They were from our hometown. It was the original singer of Under Oath, his new band at the time. And so just wild party central, probably 23 or 4 people on this bus at any given. It was just wildness.
That is wild.
Lost a couple years off my life on that tour.
When you first get a bus, it takes a while for everybody to learn how to live on a bus. And then some people never learn, and their stuff's just everywhere all the time.
I don't know anyone like that, Alex Shonut.
Yeah, I don't know anybody like that either. One time on tour, my favorite story of tour of Alex is he accidentally sold $700 for me.
He accidentally did?
He's like, he accidentally took $700 from me. I was like, hey guys, I won a lot of money in CeeLo the other day. It was all Alex's money. And we got it was my PDs from the tour. And I share rooms with him. And the last day of tour, I remember this because I went down, he flew home and was the third to last. And there was a note in my bunk that says, hey man, it was me who took your money. I'm sorry. I just found it. Don't tell anybody. I'm really embarrassed.
Alex is like the most sweet, genuine guy. He really would never do anything like negative like that on purpose. But like, he also is like, he's literally just living his life as it comes. Like nothing is, I don't think he plans many things other than like what he's doing at that moment. You know, like he's like, yeah. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat. That's like how his mind works, you know, and it's awesome to be able to see someone live like that. And he's been pretty successful with that life. But I think that some of the negatives that come with living like that is like you lose a lot of things and you leave a little trail of trash behind you because you're not really worried about many other things other than what's happening in the moment. And sometimes you pick up $700 and
sometimes you take my money
and you accidentally have it. It's fine.
All right, cool. Well, moving on. Next, I have fly dates, and fly dates aren't like a way you travel usually. I mean, okay, for country, it is. They fly and do weekend shows, or they'll take a bus and do weekend shows. But for most people, like how it works is like a data member's on tour in Europe, and then we might drop our bus off and do a few fly shows. And that means like, you know, you can't drive to some places there. You have to cross too much water. Or, you know, some places there's like a channel, which is like a ferry that goes from, you know, London to France. So you can go under the water, over the water. But a lot of times you'll just have to fly places. And they kind of just happen no matter what level you are.
Yeah, it's a logistical necessity a lot of times. And it's a more expensive way of traveling. And it's also like kind of a more inconvenient way of traveling because I'm sure everyone who is listening to this, or most people, they've flown before and they understand that that's kind of a hassle to go through security. And especially when you got gear and you're worried about 17 other people making it through on time. And it's kind of a nightmare, but it happens.
Yeah. In South America, you like fly everywhere because stuff is so far away. And how it works is like you literally go to an airport with a bunch of people, fly to another place. And then when you land, you get on a Sprinter and go to a hotel. That's kind of how they work. And sometimes you get a lot less sleep, honestly, flying than you think like, oh, we're flying, we're getting hotels, I'm going to sleep a lot. But sometimes you'll fly all day, get there at night.
It's also just mentally draining. You know, you're constantly like worrying about, am I going to be there on time? Do I have all my stuff? And even if you are getting enough sleep, you're going to need more sleep than you would regularly. Like it's a lot. It's taxing physically and mentally. It's a rough way to travel, but it is effective and it's a must. It's a must, you know, in certain situations, you can't get to places any other way. So,
yeah. And if you're touring with like a DJ or a rap artist or anybody who has a lot smaller of a crew and does shows and is able to transfer their live show easily, like they don't have a stage setup or instruments, you'll do a lot more of these than a band because a band logistically just can't justify it monetarily unless they're a larger size. Like
for instance, some of our first Australian tours, we brought a lot of shit with us. We probably had like 47 to 57. It's a very specific number. It was in that range amount of pieces of luggage, like guitars, amps, and that shit's fucking heavy. A lot of times you're you don't have a lot of crew members with you because you're trying to save money in those instances. So more people have to carry and move more shit, or less people have to move more shit. So it's a tough way to tour, but it's just, you can't get around it, you know?
I almost got left in South America when I was with you guys. Do you remember that?
No, but that tour was crazy. I mean, so
that was one of the hardest tours.
Like we were supposed to be there. I think that tour was like right before Warped Tour. So it was like right before summer.
This is the Of Mice and Men one, right? We're with them.
Is that the one we got stuck there?
No, that's a different one. I wasn't with you guys. That was when like some volcano erupted.
Yeah, there was a volcano in Chile that like erupted and made a smoke cloud the size of like a continent.
Oh my God.
And we couldn't physically make it to places. So like we had a show in Brazil, and this is where flight dates can kind of get crazy because you don't really allow, like you're flying to these shows because one, you don't have time. So you're trying to minimize the time it takes to get from over a very large distance, and you're trying to get a bunch of shows into a small amount of time.
Yeah.
You're just not working with a lot of time. So if things kind of get messed up, it can kind of throw the whole thing off. So when we had the massive volcano go off down there, we had to cancel show, and people in Curitiba were threatening to murder us because they were really excited to see us. And I understand. I mean, we're really good looking guys.
It's a logical next step.
But the crazy thing is, like, we couldn't even rent a van to get to the place from Sao Paulo to Curitiba because there's like a mountain pass, and we had to be there that day because the next day we had to fly to Argentina. It was just a crazy thing. And so usually when you're doing a tour with a lot of flight dates, you got to be on time. You got to be on your shit. There's no time to waste. You can get left. Like Adam was saying, like,
yeah, my story's a lot more boring. I literally went in the wrong line because you guys got in front of me and ended up being legitimately the last person on the flight. I had my own driver take me over there because I had to get driven out because I just went in the wrong line. And then I remember getting on the plane and everybody just started clapping because it was like, there was like, and I was like, yeah, I messed up.
It's like, we're going to shut the door. It's like, no, Adam's coming.
It's like, is he going to make it? Yeah, no smoke cloud for my story, but it was still scary.
I mean, that's what I'm saying, though. It really, there's a very limited margin of error allowed in flying, especially on commercial airlines. I mean, I think private jets are a little bit different.
Yeah, that's what we're going to touch on last here.
It's a little bit different.
Yeah, private jet, like, have you guys done private jets?
I went on a private jet a couple times not with the band, but with like my grandfather. My grandfather used to he drove like motor coaches for like the owner of NASCAR and shit like that. So we've flown on private jets with that, but it's a lot more lenient.
Yeah, the difference between a private jet and like flying commercial is you're in charge.
Yeah, it leaves when you get there. Like,
yeah, you drive onto the runway, get out of your Escalade or whatever, walk on the jet, take off, land, get on another Escalade, and then go to wherever you're going.
Pretty amazing. Obviously, I think that goes without even being said. I mean, like every rap song ever is like, yo, hop on the PJ. And they're like talking about how it's like the best thing ever, which I'm sure it is.
Yeah, I've done it only a few times. And the important thing here is when you get to this level, not every crew member is flying on the jet. That's when it breaks down into A party, B party, C party. So like A party will be like artist, tour manager, photographer. And B party will be like some of the crew, or maybe if the artist has like backup dancers or something. And then C party will be the rest of the crew. So just with a private jet, it's like...
It's expensive.
It's expensive. But the thing is like some DJs are playing 3 shows a day. Like we've had scenarios, especially in South America, where we'll literally go to 3 different places, 3 different flights in one day because, the last show started at 5 a.m. And they're just private jetting around and they're making, they might be spending, $10,000 to $40,000, whatever it is for a private jet, but they're making like a couple $100,000. So for them, it
makes sense. And it's like, I think a good rule of thumb, and a tour manager kind of explained this to me who has like done tours where that is like, it happens a lot. It's like for every hour of flight, it's about $10,000. So like if you're doing from like LA to Vegas, it's about an hour flight, probably get a private jet for about 10 grand, probably safe.
Depending on how nice your jet is.
Yeah, and it's how big it is and how many people you need to carry, like how much weight you need to fly around with. All of that matters, and how much fuel you use. You also can kind of get lucky on private jets too, where like it's called deadheading, which means let's say Diplo flew from LA to Las Vegas and you and your group need to fly from Vegas back to LA, and Diplo's not going to use the plane to get back that night. So they're going to have to deadhead the plane back to LA, and they'll give you a discounted rate on the private jet to get back to LA. And a lot of times that happens on super high traffic areas, like from LA to Vegas. New York to Miami, kind of things like that.
Yeah, I think like honestly, going from a bus to that, it's nice, but it's all, again, you don't sleep as much. It was cool because the craziest experience for me was like doing Rome to London on a private jet, which blew my mind. I felt like I was cheating. I don't know. I was like, really? Because it's one thing to fly in the US, like Florida to Wisconsin or something. It's like, oh, I just jumped a bunch of states. But I was like, we're jumping countries.
Just like massive, like
I'm eating sushi.
Is it really even that far whenever you're flying? Because like, I
Probably
think
not.
The whole part of Europe that sucks is like a lot of times you can't drive longer than an X amount of time because you need, like, the drivers follow very strict guidelines on how long they can drive.
They have to have like one day off a week.
Yeah, it's really tough. So you're kind of limited to how long you can drive. And then there's also, like, let's say you're going somewhere down in Italy, you have to drive out of Italy, go across. And it's, so if you're flying, I would assume that it's like a little bit quicker, to get to places and stuff like that. So I can imagine London to Rome would be like, wow, we're already here. This is awesome.
My least favorite part was that Wes could just see me whether or not I was working the whole time. I was like, I want to sleep. Do I work? I don't know.
Hey, are you editing photos? Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I am. No, I wasn't sleeping. I haven't slept yet. It's fine.
Oh, man. But yeah, that's pretty much, I guess that's the extent of how you travel on tour. I don't know. I don't think we really missed anything. Obviously, when you're doing these private jets too, you're driving just shuttles the same way we talked about. But other than that, that's the extent of how you can travel on tour. I guess you could do a boat. There's some of those cruises, but that's it.
We've done Viking cruise. Remember that? Were you with us?
Oh, wait, that's a ferry.
Yeah. So
I was not with you, but I know about it.
So like when you're in Scandinavia, a lot of traveling is done by boat. I mean, you put your bus on the boat. They drive you from, I don't know, like the Netherlands or something like that to Helsinki or Stockholm or one of the Scandinavian island countries up there.
Please don't correct us. We're not great at geography.
I think I'm correct. I'm not 100% sure, but mainland Europe is different from Scandinavia and those things. And you got to take a boat to get there, especially if you want to have your bus or any of the things that you need, like your truck. You can fly, but then you lose out on like your full production. And so if you're doing a big tour or you're doing a big festival, you kind of need all that stuff. So
yeah, you got to bring it with.
Yeah. So you just get on the boat and you fucking party for 24 hours sometimes.
Is that really how long it is? The longest ferry I've been on with you guys is English Channel, and it's like an hour and a half, and you eat breakfast and gamble a few pounds away.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of different ferries all throughout Europe. I mean, touring in Europe is a lot different than anywhere else, honestly. Like touring in Asia, there's a bunch of flights.
Australia's all flights.
Yeah, Australia is all flights. But sometimes when you're traveling in Australia and you're doing a small tour, you can do a van, but it's like 10 hours between every city.
Yeah, and they don't allow you to sleep in. They don't allow you to lay down legally in Australia.
They have a big problem with people falling asleep while driving, and they just don't even. They're like, nah, stay up with your mate. Watch out for the ruse.
Okay, so growing, as you're probably wondering, like, okay, starting a van now, how do I get to a bus or whatnot? There's kind of two ways you can grow, and that's either with the artist or separately. And with the artist is pretty self-explanatory. The artist gets bigger, they go to better vehicles, you go on it with them. But sometimes you'll like tour with an opening band and you'll be doing drum teching or something, and then you'll meet a drummer of the headliner and they'll really like you, and then you go on tour with them.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, you kind of jump around. And I guess, I don't know, it gets kind of tricky, right, Neil? Like, I mean...
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, I think in my experience, if someone is incredible at their job and you only have so much money to pay them, like you can ask them, be like, hey man, I like what we got going on. I'd love for you to work for us. But also it's kind of a dickhead thing to be like, you got to stay with me,
Yeah.
You have to make your money. You're out there, you're working, you're away from your family, you're sacrificing these things. If you can move up, and I think you should do it. And I think that you should do it in a way to where you're not screwing anybody over or like leaving in the middle of a tour. I think that's kind of...
You want to maintain your other relationships, right?
Absolutely. And there's a tactful way to do any of these things, but I think moving up is the name of the game, and sometimes an artist can move up with you and that's awesome. But then other times you can kind of find another spot where you're making a little bit more money and, you're in a bus rather than a bandwagon, or you're in a bandwagon rather than a van, and you're just moving up. And as long as you're kind of maintaining those relationships, I think it's all good. Yeah.
And working with an artist, it's kind of like an investment, right? Like if you work with somebody for a year and you invest your time into that, you can grow with them. You invest as they grow, they'll keep you with them. And I think that there's definitely something to be said for like a day to remember. I've worked with you guys forever, and I would prefer, I think there's other artists who could pay me more. There's other artists who could pay me less. But personally, I value our relationship and the content and the way I get to work with you guys more than anything else. So for me, it's almost worth it to tour with you guys over other people because of that. So you really just have to figure out, where you want to go and make sure that when you do make those jumps or make those moves, that you're not screwing anybody over in the process.
It all matters, right? Like sometimes taking a little bit less money is better for the sanity of being around people you love, being around your friends and your family. Cause that's essentially what it is you become a family with these people through touring. Like I know more about our touring family, our touring crew than probably my family knows about me. I've spent more time in my adult life with these people. I've seen them through hard times, great times. You share your entire life with them, and that's worth a thing all on its own. So,
and it's kind of like, if there's something that can prove that, it's kind of the example of this podcast. I mean, honestly, Neil and I don't talk on a daily basis. We probably talk on a monthly basis. Once in a while, we'll hit each other up, maybe even less than that sometimes. But when we go on tour, it's like I'm hanging out with my family again.
Yep.
And when I hit Neil up to do this, it was like, I didn't have to worry about any of the things like, will we get along? Will we be on the same page? Will we be able to vibe? All that stuff I knew would be taken care of. It's just a matter of Neil wanting to do it or not.
And for me, it was just a matter of time.
Yeah. But, you really do grow close to these people. And when you see them again, it's like seeing your family. It's a very cool way to live.
It is. I think it's important to emphasize that long-term investment. Like you're investing your time, you're investing your effort with people. And that over time can be worth more than a quick paycheck. And let's say you hop on with somebody who's touring less, but you get paid more. When the person that was paying you a little bit less, you kind of can go in and really build that relationship. And as they get bigger, they're going to bring you along for that ride. You're really investing in each other,
And your responsibility as the crew member is all you have to do is make sure you're growing with the artist. So that means you're learning while you're on tour with them. And when you're home, you're also leveling yourself up. Guitar tech might start off stringing guitars and tuning guitars. As they get bigger, we need to know how to fix guitars or, you build your amp. Or I know Johnny's a freak, but
Johnny is a freak.
Neil's guitar tech has like a cave in his basement where he could literally build you a whole setup from scratch. He's actually nuts.
Johnny has rewired a stage where we showed up in Makassar, Indonesia, and the stage didn't have power. There was like power wires like sticking up, like sparking and shit. Johnny's like, all right, I need to get a generator and like 17 gauge wire and some transformer, whatever. And he like comes back. He went on the back of a moped. There's another way to travel on tour. Rode on the back of a moped to a store in Makassar, Indonesia, bought all the parts, rewired the entire stage for the show. It was, you never know what you're going to deal with when you're on tour. That's the other thing is you got to be prepared for anything. And if you're not leveling up, you're going to get caught one day where you're in a situation in Indonesia and you need to rewire the stage. So
yeah, Johnny is, he's the coolest guitar tech because other guitar techs come to him on tour just to watch him do what he does and learn from him. That's how you learn. He's so good.
He's like one of those like senseis where he's mastered the majority of his craft and people just want to watch him exist. It's kind of amazing.
I agree.
Mr. Miyagi.
Okay, so last episode, we owe you this because we ran a little bit short. We talked about getting real life experience on tour and we didn't relate enough. And I like that our theme is, we try to show you guys, not just tell you. So I think we should talk about some real life experiences and things we learned on tour. And I don't know, share a few stories just to...
And that's what's fun about podcasts. They're this long form conversation where we get the chance to talk to you and tell you stories that, maybe an interview you wouldn't really get to get out, or a quick conversation. You see someone on the side of the street, you're not going to get to talk to them for an hour and a half, So that's what this is.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Hi, nice to see you 1.5 hours later. Can you please leave me alone so I can go back on with my life? Thank you.
Yeah, I think the main thing about tour is everything is exposed about you. So when you learn little things, or maybe you have little habits you do that you think are normal, but they aren't, you learn about those. So it's really, you learn a lot about yourself. And my first one actually happened like 2 years ago with you guys. I put paper towels in the toilet and you guys yelled at me and I had no idea it was a thing you couldn't do.
We're probably like, damn, you're going to clog up that fucking toilet.
I was like, what are you talking about? And I just remember Josh looking at me and being like, dude, you can't put paper towels in the toilet. I was like, oh, I just didn't know. He's like, you didn't know that? I was like, no. I'm sorry.
Well, it's like you said, it's a very, you're around a ton of people all the time from every walk of life. And some people have more experience in life than others. And, you learn these things sometimes very harshly. It can be, like, because you're around a bunch of people that like they're your family. So they're going to roast you. And a lot of times that's from a good place. But sometimes you don't really understand that in the moment because you feel embarrassed or whatever. It's like, you just got to be able to understand that, hey, there's going to be an opportunity where it's going to come full circle and you're going to get to roast this other person. So
yeah,
always keep it in mind that, it isn't the end of the world if someone's giving you a hard time, or the other way around. It's like, don't give someone a hard time, because eventually you're going to be in a situation where you kind of feel like a dumbass and someone's like,
shouldn't have done that.
You shouldn't have done that.
Do you have one? I can do another if you don't have one.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a ton. Like, I was a psychopath. I grew up on tour. Like, I basically grew up around these people, and I'm sure they could probably tell you more stories about me than I could, because most of the time when I was young touring, like, I drank a lot, partied a lot. I probably don't remember all the dumb shit that I've done. Yeah, there's tons.
Yeah, so I have my first tattoo I got on tour, and I guess the lesson learned here was people aren't always going to pay for your tattoo if they tell you so. But when I was in Florida with Four Letter Lie, Kevin's old band, they're like, hey, Mark Diesel was my nickname on tour. They were like, Mark was, people thought my last name was, they call me Maki, M-A-K-I. My last name's Elmakias. And they thought, the other people on tour thought they were calling me Mark. So everybody started calling me Mark on tour with like, Maki sounds like Mark in New York accent. And Diesel was our term for like partying real hard. So I was Mark Diesel. It was like my thing. I was like 18 on tour. I was like, this is cool. Get to Florida. They're like, let's go to a shop right now. Shop minimum $80. We'll pay for your first tattoo. $80 when you're 18 is a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Still is a lot of money, but I'm saying it's a lot more. So I paid for it. They said they'd pay me back, and they never paid me back. And I have this tattoo on my chest right here. It says Mark. Can't really see it because it's a podcast, but it says Mark Diesel. It's right over my heart.
One more reason to get the Patreon.
Yeah, one more reason to get the Patreon. You can see the tattoo. And I'll actually post a picture, because at Josh's wedding a year and a half ago, I was like, Kevin, you guys got to pay me for that tattoo. And he was like, I'll give you $100 right now if you shut the fuck up about it.
He came full circle.
Yeah, he gave it to me. I have a picture with the $100 and him at that thing. I was like, thank you, Kevin. He did it.
You should go see like Mod's son or something and be like, yo, Mod.
Yeah.
You owe me like $100 for this tattoo. You remember, bro?
Just start asking. Mod's son is a rapper now, but he was our drummer he was the drummer back then. Yeah, just go to each one. I actually get $500.
John, hey, man, I need...
I like that you remember their names.
Oh, yeah, dude. I like Four Letter Lie. Four Letter Lie actually stayed at my house. So when I was younger, my mom would always let bands stay at our house when they were on tour, just because she wanted, this is what she would always say. This is my Neil's mom's voice. So I hope whenever you're out on the road, people take care of you like we take care of them when they come here.
Yes.
And I was like, that's fucking so, my mom's like literally the best. She really is incredible. Joy. Love you, Joy.
I love you, Ruth.
Yeah, exactly. Like, moms are the best.
My mom and dad did the same thing, whether they agreed to it or not.
Kind of this, I mean, really, yeah, I was going to let them stay no matter what. But yeah, they stayed at the house a couple times. So I actually became friends with Four Letter Lie.
That's cool.
I remember one time, this is a funny story. It's not about learning from tour or whatever, but it's about Kevin. And so when I first met Kevin, he was really good at Guitar Hero. Like, really good at Guitar Hero. He was probably better at Guitar Hero than he was at guitar, and he's one of the best guitar players that I know.
Wow.
When I first met him, he was in his underwear at this party in Chicago playing Cowboys from Hell on Guitar Hero by Pantera.
That's awesome.
And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, me and Kevin are going to be friends. So I kind of kept in contact with him because of this. I was just like, yo, Kevin's my people, basically, at this time. Whenever they came to Florida, I like hit him up. I was like, yo, you guys need a place to stay. And yeah, and they came, and we had this place that we partied out in Summerfield, which is where I lived. It was our friend Corey's house. And I was like, yo, this band's in town. Let's go drink. We'll have a bonfire or whatever. And so we get drunk, and I'm like telling everybody at this party, I'm like, yo, Kevin can play Cowboys from Hell. I tell him about how I met him, and he was playing Cowboys from Hell in his underwear. And he can play it without the game even being on. He can play the song. He knows the song that well. And so he then decides he was going to get in his underwear again and play Cowboys from Hell from memory in the van in their front yard. And it was awesome.
That's awesome. I'm surprised I didn't meet you while I was on tour with him.
I think it was like right after or right before. Did you go to Florida with him?
Yeah, that's where I got the tattoo.
Yeah. I mean, what if you stayed at my house and I just didn't know you?
Nah, the reason I know where we stayed is because we stayed with this girl And right after I got the tattoo, I wanted to go show, Kevin didn't come with us and I wanted to show him. So I guess it's a theme for us, but I got totally naked with my hands covering my private area. And I walked in the front door of this girl's apartment because Kevin and I was going to go in there and be like, look, I got this tattoo to Kevin and her because I thought they were hanging out. But it was just Kevin in the living room. And he just looks at me and goes, what the hell are you doing?
Dude, touring was the best. Like, that's the best part about growing up on tour is you get these experiences and you do these things that like you would never do that at home, or maybe you would. I don't know. We always did crazy shit. It didn't matter if we were on tour or not on tour. I looked up to Blink-182. I bought their tour videos. I was like, that's how you tour. You prank each other. You do wild ass shit. That's what it means to be on tour. I can't wait to go on tour so I can do wild ass shit. I learned pretty quickly that like other people in my band didn't get those DVDs, didn't think that was touring.
They didn't go through the training.
They didn't understand. Neil, why are you pranking everyone and you're naked and you know, what, why?
Yeah.
And so that was probably one of there's many stories.
Yeah.
Where you just learn quickly. And the other thing is as long as you're with a good group of people, they're not going to fucking shun you or hate you. You just have to make sure that you're genuine in what your intentions are and you're looking out for everybody and you're a team player. You know, you can learn a lot being on tour. It's one of the best things that has to do with touring is you get to go to all these different places, all these different cultures.
No, I think you're right. That's a good conclusion. You kind of did the conclusion without having to go through conclusion. I mean, in conclusion for this episode, we just want to say like, that's how you travel. Those are the places you can go. We'll go more in depth on the etiquette and how you live in these places and what it's like and what you should and shouldn't do. I know we touched on it, but we'll have a whole episode dedicated to that. We just want to let you know that when you're seeing a tour manager or seeing a band or somebody at a venue, like this is where they've been living all day. This is what their travel day was like. This is what goes on that you didn't know was going on with their life before they get to that point of seeing you. And that'll help you communicate and interact and make it so it's a little less alien of, you know, these people just appeared in my town.
Abso-freaking-lutely.
You already kind of did your conclusion. You don't get another one.
I love you guys. Concluded.
Well, I love you guys too. Well, Neil, take us out.
This was the best podcast that you'll hear today or ever. We love you, Adam and Neil. Goodbye.
I've been Adam and I'll always be Adam.
I am Neil and maybe someone else one day. I don't know. I'm not going to take that off the table. Goodbye.
All right, Kevin F. and Scaff, take us out.